And it's going to be her side of the story tonight, just as a mother's perspective and a child that is battling this horrible disease. If we could have Tami up here, please. Thank you very much.
Wow. Hello, everyone. My name is Tami Guilbert-Watchurst. Rosemary Bowen, the 2009 Relay for Life chairperson and the survivor chairperson, asked me to take a few minutes to share the story of my journey through cancer with all of you. This is my son, Alexander. We are both members of the Watchurst Basement Dwellers team that consists of 3 adults and 7 teenagers between the ages of 13 and 16 years of age. We are thankful to be sharing the next 12 hours with all of you in this amazing Relay for Life event. My son Alexander was 2.5 years of age when he was diagnosed in the emergency department at the Orangeville Hospital with high-risk acute lymphocytic leukemia. Because my son was only 2.5 when he was diagnosed, he had only a child's awareness of what was happening to him and around him. It was my job as his mother to explain everything in terms he could understand without terrifying him. In that regard, I too feel like a survivor, although I didn't physically have the cancer cells in my body. The little boy that I gave birth to was lying in a hospital bed with 4 IVs hooked up to him, having been brought by ambulance to Sick Kids Hospital, having been diagnosed with cancer. We were facing 3 years of intense invasive treatment in the hopes of saving his life. I was the guide for my little boy as we traveled down Leukemia Road. I held his hand, comforted him as I held my breath, and tried to quiet the beating of my heart and the pounding in my head. I remember telling Alexander that he had very, very sick blood and that it was going to take a very long time for him to get better. But I promised him that he would never be alone in his journey and that we would get through this together. I was 4 months pregnant with my second child at that time, and I vividly remember listening to the doctors explain what would be involved in the course of Alexander's treatment and desperately trying to absorb all the information. I was now in a foreign land, trying to understand medical terminology, blood counts, statistics, surrounded by medical equipment. In addition, I had to sign my name as his mother to medical releases allowing the hospital staff to treat my son with powerful chemical agents. It was the most frightening journey that I have ever taken. We rode the roller coaster through the low blood counts, numerous lumbar punctures, allergic reactions to chemotherapy agents, mood swings from high-dose steroids, and fevers, all the while praying that we were winning the battle against this vicious beast that had attacked my child. The first year was the most intensive part of his treatment. When we reached the 6-month point, I gave birth to Alexander's baby brother, Maxton Lee. My only sister, Sherry Lee, flew from Los Angeles to stay with us and help us during the first month of Alexander's treatment, and she came again when Maxton Lee was born. The journey through cancer is one which forever changes your appreciation for life and for the kindness and presence of those sharing your journey. We made it through the 3 years of chemotherapy treatments with the support of family, friends, neighbors, co-workers, and strangers. When we had 3 months left in Alexander's treatment, we were planning a huge celebration for his end of chemo party. I received a phone call saying that my mother, Mary, collapsed at work and was rushed to emergency where she was diagnosed with stage 3 gastric cancer. I had been a caregiver for my son, and now I became a caregiver for my mother as well. We celebrated Alexander's completion of his 3 years of treatment with an incredible party at our home with friends, neighbors, and co-workers, but sadly my mum was far too ill to join our celebration. My mum fought the beast and thankfully eventually went into remission from her cancer. One of my greatest supporters through cancer was my beloved sister Sherry Lee. She held me up when my knees were crumbling and refused to ever let me give up hope. Hope for my son or for our mother. As a result of her experience supporting Alexander at Sick Kids and while living in our home, she made a life-altering decision to return to Canada and to return to university to become a child life specialist, specifically to work with children going through medical treatment in hospital. She adored children and they adored her. Sherry Lee had a gift. She was able to reach out to children of all ages and bring them happiness and laughter and the ability to experience a normal childhood in spite of their surroundings and their battles. At the age of 40, my sister was accepted into McMaster University into the Child Life program. She was in her element, embracing every part of her new life, and had incredible plans and dreams for her future of helping children on their journeys through cancer, just as she had done with her nephew Alexander. My sister and I were wrapping Christmas presents at my home when she became very short of breath, and she said she felt exhausted. I encouraged her to go to the local walk-in clinic to get checked over because they would be closed over the Christmas holidays. I received a phone call from a doctor at the clinic a few hours later telling me that she had been transferred to the local emergency department. I knew at that moment that she had cancer. Sherry Lee was diagnosed with a very rare form of cancer called Burkitt's lymphoma. She had an abdominal tumor that was doubling in size every 24 hours. She awoke on Christmas morning in ICU only to be told by me that she had cancer and a colostomy because the tumor that was removed was the size of a football and had consumed part of her colon. Sherry Lee was airlifted from Orangeville to London Health Sciences Centre in London, Ontario. She was put on a very heavy regime of chemotherapy treatments, ironically the very same medications that were used to treat my son Alexander in the first part of his treatment. Her only hope was to undergo a bone marrow transplant. Sherry Lee never gave up hope and never lost her appreciation or passion for life. She fought the beast for 9 weeks, at which point she ended up on full life supports in ICU. I sang to her and talked to her, constantly watching the heart monitor respond to the sound of my voice. She was in a coma, but I know she heard every word. I never left her side for 1 week from the time she was admitted to ICU until the moment that she took her last breath. My sister Sherry Lee died on her 41st birthday. My mom's cancer relapsed, and she suffered and fought for many months until the decision was made for her to be transferred to palliative care. I lived with my mom in the palliative care unit, sleeping in a cot by her bedside for 1 week until she too took her last breath. That's what you do when you love someone. You journey with them, no matter his nanny, my mom Mary, and his beloved Auntie Sherry Lee. I may not have had the cancer cells in my own body, but I am a survivor of cancer. It has forever changed my past, my present, and my future. I have taught Alexander that there are responsibilities that go along with survivorship. A responsibility to give back through volunteerism. A responsibility to open your heart and give hope to others who are facing the beast that we call cancer. A friend of Alexander's relapsed last fall and recently underwent a stem cell transplant. We walk in honor of 15-year-old cancer warrior Julie McInnes. A responsibility to never forget our friends and family who fought the beast but ultimately lost their battle. We also walk in memory of another friend of Alexander's who lost his battle at the age of 9. We walk in memory of cancer warrior Caden Gallagher. Finally, we have a responsibility to embrace life and to celebrate each day. Every one of us present here tonight has been on a journey. And tonight we come together as a powerful group of warriors to remember, to fight back, and to celebrate. Thank you for allowing me to share my story.